Hello farmers and aspiring farmers, thank you for tuning in to yet another informative edition of your program. This is Agriculture on New Directions Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030. This is where we discuss everything agriculture from cropping ventures to livestock production. Today we are coming to you from Goromonzi, Mashonaland East at Infinity Boran, which is being owned by Mr. Muderedzwa. He has been in this venture for quite some time and is going to be taking us through the strategies, tactics, nitty-gritties of his production in Boran. Now, Mr. Muderedzwa, thank you so much for taking your time and inviting us to your place.
Thank you, Azanai.
As we get into our discussion, I would like you to first of all give us a brief background of how you started your enterprise, how you got into it, before we focus on this section of the head.
Okay. We started this enterprise in 2021. That's when we started, around June 2021. It's almost 3 years into this venture. Our main goal is to produce the best Borans, bulls and females. So we are doing mainly breeding.
Okay.
Most of them here, they are registered animals. They are registered with the national head.
Okay.
So the goal is to produce pure breed Borans. Of course, along the way, we will have some crossbreeds that we have for abattoir, for slaughter. But the main objective is we want to produce bulls and heifers to sell as breeding animals.
Okay. Mr. Muderedzwa, I want us to look at this section of the head. I understand that you have split your head into various sections. We are standing in front of this section, which is the purpose of this segment of the interview. Can you introduce this section of your head? What is it comprising of? Its characteristics? What is it like before we go on to nutrition and disease management?
Okay. This section comprises of bulls and those that are castrated.
Okay.
The reason why we separate bulls from this other head, is that we need, because of breeding rules, we need to have one bull that you use on your cows. You don't use any other bull.
Yes.
And you must be able to tell and identify the bull that you would have used. Since you don't use another bull, you should be able to identify the bull that you would have used. So if you have got all these bulls now pegged with the females, they will disturb the bull that you are using.
Okay.
And the one might even, the one that you are using here, any other bull that you have here, might actually impregnate your cows. Yes. And automatically now, what it means is you don't know the sire of the cow.
There's no traceability.
Yes, of the sire that comes out. Now the society will tell you, whenever they come here for inspection, they will tell you that this one doesn't meet the characteristics of a Boran. This doesn't meet the characteristics of a Boran and might not have the bull soundness that they require in a bull.
Now, looking at the characteristics, can you maybe touch and highlight and emphasize more on the characteristics of the Boran, the desired characteristics? I said that the reason why you went for the Boran, there are certain aspects that you viewed and that you admired and said, you know what, I'm not going to go for Bone Smart, I'm not going to go for any other breed, I will choose the Boran. What could have been the motivation aligning it to the characteristics of this breed?
Okay. First of all, what we admired on the Boran is the temperament. These animals, they are calm. You know, when you're having a project of heading of animals here, you don't want animals that are aggressive. Animals that can charge towards you.
Or always in fighting mode.
Yeah. You don't need to be afraid of animals that you are looking at.
Yes.
So the great temperament of these animals is what we admired. That is what we admired most.
Okay.
Number 2 is the fertility.
Okay.
Yes. Boran cows are very fertile. They will give you a calf every year.
Okay.
If you look after them well. If you dip them, if you vaccinate them, if you supplement them, definitely they will give you a calf every year. So the fertility aspect of it is what we admire. It's one of the things that we also admired.
Okay.
And the calf growth rate. As you can see, some of these bulls, they're just 2 years old. Some of them 7 months old.
Yes.
So the growth rate of the calves is also one of the characteristics. It's actually more profitable to have animals that have got high growth rate.
Okay.
Yes. And early fertility. The females, they take a bull at about 13 months.
Okay.
Yes. So by the time it gets to 2 years, it would have a calf at foot. The bull starts to serve its females in about 18 months.
Okay.
So at 18 months, you can buy Boran bull and do wonders in your head.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Mderedzwa. Looking at this herd, you highlight that you have various animals, bulls ranging from maybe 7 months, 8 months. Can you talk to us in terms of the feed, the essential nutrients at this stage, which is 7, 8 months? What are the kind of feed that you are using, the essential nutrients that you are looking for to ensure that you are producing desirable bulls that will meet the requirements of the inspectors?
Okay. First of all, the Boran is able to raise its calf and achieve good growth rates with just the mother's milk.
Okay.
Yes. So we win at about 7 months. Yes. Usually when we win at about 7 months, that calf will be half the mother's weight. Let's say the cow is about 450. The calf should be at least 225 kgs. It's just the mother. That's why they call it the mother cow of Africa, the Boran, the female.
Okay.
Because of its nurturing ability and the amount of milk it produces for the growth of the calf.
Okay.
So when we win, we give calf grower or heifer milk, just to supplement them. But Boran cattle, they are hardy, they can survive on their own without much supplements.
Okay. Looking at maybe some insect pests and diseases that might be a menace at this age, where you are saying you've just to win them off from their mothers, what are we looking at in terms of the diseases? At times, even when it comes to human beings, might encounter some diseases, manyoka or flu or whatever. When it comes to winning, what sort of diseases are we looking at that might be a threat to these young bulls?
Okay. 80% to 90% of diseases that affect cattle, they are tick-borne diseases.
Okay. So
the best way to control tick-borne disease is to dip regularly. So what we do here, we dip every 5 days.
Okay.
Of course, for females, we use, for female cows, we vaccinate against contagious abortions.
Okay.
For heifers. But otherwise, what we do here, mainly to control disease, is to dip our cattle.
Okay.
That's how we control our diseases.
And also making them have an isolated environment where they are not always mixing with herds from other areas or other households.
Yes.
Okay.
And also give them clean water, bore water.
Okay.
Yes. The reason why we give them bore water is the reason why we don't drink water from the river. Is the reason why we don't give our cows that water.
Okay.
Because of worms that are in the
yes.
river. So they when they get into our animals, they lay eggs and multiply. And we dose, yes, we dose once every 6 months. But obviously, maybe it takes a worm today.
Exactly.
And that will multiply for until the next 6 months. So that affects the growth of the animals.
You might be feeding it, yes, but getting nothing at the end of the day.
The feed
with the worms that are inside, yes, the gastric passage.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Mderedzwa. On that note, viewers, have come to the end of the first segment. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, farmers and aspiring farmers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. This is where we discuss everything agriculture, business, finance, production, economics, time, value of money, looking at it from various perspectives of agriculture, be it the cropping enterprises or even livestock. Now, today we are in Goromonzi with Mr. Mderedzwa of Infinity Boran Studies, undertaking the cattle business as a formidable business. Now, viewers, encourage you to be a part of these conversations. Feel free to get in touch with the producer, Wadzanai Manyore, 0772-807-506. Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. Make a follow-up on this episode and more, and leave your comments and suggestions. They are most welcome to us. Our YouTube channel is Agribusiness with Wadzanai. We're also now available on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Agribusiness 110. On LinkedIn, it's Wadzanai Manyore, where most of these discussions do take place. Mr. Mderedzwa, we are here in the second segment. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, from the young bulls that we were talking about earlier on from the break, we are now with the other section of your head. A brief introduction of the of what this head is comprised of. What do we have in this head?
Okay, in this head, we have our head sire, the main bull that we use here. That is servicing all these females. Okay. They are all his wives.
There is no fighting.
Yeah, there's no fighting.
Okay.
He does his job well and it's not disturbed.
Now, talking about that bull, that sire, a brief introduction, a brief description of it. You are very proud of it. Yes. You are saying it's taking care of the females. All the females that we are looking at, yes, they are being taken care by one bull. A brief description of that bull.
Okay. That bull is son of the famous bull called Carinas.
Okay.
Yes, that bull has been in the top 10 Boran bulls for the past 10 years.
Okay.
In the whole of Southern Africa. The sire of our bull here.
Okay.
We are very proud of that bull because of the quality of the calves that it is producing.
Okay.
If you look at the cows here, all of them, they've got Boran features.
Yes.
Whenever inspectors come here, we're not worried that any of our cows can fail. It just produces wonders.
Okay.
It services all the females very well.
Looking at the nutrition now, Mr. Mderedzwa, aligning it to the bull and even the females. I understand that we will have females maybe lactating, yes, maybe during the gestation period. Is the nutrition the same throughout? Or you might want to highlight certain aspects of the differences when it comes to a lactating female or a female during its gestation period, and even the bull, given that Rine Basa Buri?
Of course. Right. What we do here is first, we supplement our cattle all year round.
Okay.
But we supplement with different feeds at different times of the year. Like when it's raining, the pastures are green, the pastures are nutritious.
Yes.
We don't need to supplement much. We just give phosphorus.
Okay.
Phosphorus supplement because the boran carries itself well, even in dry season, and it picks up weights. It picks up weight very well, even when it's raining.
Okay.
The pastures are green. It carries itself well. So we only supplement with phosphorus during that time. But during this season, the dry season now, we supplement with protein.
Okay.
We use cotton cake as a source of protein, and the urea mabiko.
Okay.
And also phosphorus. That is our major supplements. Because at the end of the day, we should not feed this cattle, otherwise we'll go broke.
Okay.
Yes. They must be able to survive on their own and thrive on their own with just few supplements.
Okay. Now, when it comes to taking care of your herd, there are threats of diseases, insect pests. There are certain issues in some areas. I don't think it is given there is an abundance of females. But in cases of diseases, or certain diseases that might come through mating, but no exchange and certain fluids and stuff. What are your remedies to curb such instances? And even your dipping schedule, the chemicals that you use, that you alternate as you do your dipping schedule through different periods of the year?
Okay. Firstly, we don't allow our bull to mate with cows that are not our cows here.
Okay.
Yes. Strictly, they know these guys strictly that our bull is supposed to service only our females because of those mating diseases that we are talking about. To our disease control program here, firstly, the first thing that we do is we dip every 5 days. We are very strict with our dipping. We use the right dip, original dip, because 80%, 90% of diseases that affect cattle, they are tick-borne diseases. Talk of atota, talk of general disease, talk of dull sickness. Those are the major diseases that affect cattle, and they are all tick-borne diseases. So if you don't control ticks, you are in big trouble.
Okay.
Tick-borne diseases. And we do deworming once every 6 months. The beginning of the rain season, we deworm our cattle, and the beginning of the winter, we then deworm our cattle. So we deworm around January, December, January, then we deworm around June, July.
Okay.
We are done.
Looking at issues surrounding fertility, I understand that you said the Boran breed has high fertility, but there are also instances whereby you might encounter miscarriages, mummified births, stillbirths. In those instances, how do you take care of your herd to understand that maybe this female is not fit enough to carry a calf through the entire term, or issues of stillbirths, miscarriages, abortions? What is it like for you in your herd? And are there any techniques that you employ to ensure that amnama miscarriages never stillbirths?
One of the reasons why we chose the Borans is that there is very, very little chances of stillbirth. We have never experienced one here for the past 3 years. We have never had a case of stillbirth. Number two, it carries itself well in terms of its pregnancy.
Okay.
Takes care of. We have no problems with pregnant animals here.
Okay.
That's one of the features of the Borans. When it's right time to take a bull, it takes a bull and delivers us a calf.
Okay. Finally, as we close this segment, Mr. Mderedzwa, I want us to talk to you, to a Zimbabwean farmer, someone who's in the UK, who's looking to invest back home. Most of them are interested in cattle ranching, in livestock production. What is the kind of advice or the cattle you would say these ones are not for you to start ahead, or the characteristics or the number of cows you would advise someone who's in the UK and
Okay. Yeah, like I'm saying, I'm a Boran man. I love Borans. I've talked about their fertility. I've talked about their performance, calf survival rate, high calf survival rate. So I would recommend the Boran on any day to anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the breed of choice. One, it's got very fertile, high growth. This is a 2022 calf. Yeah, but look at its size. It's less than 2 years.
Okay.
But it's ready to take a bull.
Yes.
So early maturity, fertility, those are the things that makes cattle farming profitable.
Okay.
Yes, fertility, because your calf murundo profit.
Yes. The more it gives birth, the more you make.
Yes. So if you've got cows that are not giving you any calves, you're not making any profit.
Okay.
So with the Borans, you're guaranteed of getting a calf every year. So I would recommend the Boran any day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mderedzwa, for such a detailed presentation here in the second segment. There you heard it, viewers. We are looking at the Boran production. This is one of the sections, one of the divisions of his herd. Earlier on, we were with the young bulls. Now we have the bull, the sire, and the females that it services at any given day and time of the week. On that note, we're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, farmers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. We are here in the third and final segment of your program, and today we are looking at Infinity Boran stud in Goromonzi with the owner, Mr. Mderedzwa, here. Mr. Mderedzwa, we are here in the third and final segment. Welcome back.
Okay, thank you.
Let us look at issues surrounding the carrying capacity of your head. You have a very big head. You started in 2021. Your head is growing. You spoke of fertility, meaning that your cows are increasing. Your head is increasing in numbers. Let us talk about the carrying capacity as a farmer. What is it like? Your sentiments, your word of advice, your views when it comes to the carrying capacity, aligning it to the number of cattle you can have as a farmer.
Okay. Firstly, we have got 54 hectares here. But our cattle, the number for cattle here is now at about 102. The carrying capacity of this farm is 50 hectares. So we've already exceeded the carrying capacity. That's why we are now supplementing our cattle more, because of the shortage of grazing land. Over and above the shortage of grazing land, we have a challenge of wildfires.
Okay.
Already we have lost 30% of our grazing to fires. And every year we lose about 50 to 60% of our grazing land to fires.
Okay.
To wildfires. So that's the major challenge here. It's a major challenge of grazing, and it's a limiting factor.
Okay. Yes. Looking at issues surrounding marketing or selling of your cattle, what is your marketing schedule like? Your selling of cattle, how do you do it periodically? Can a person just drive and say, you know what, I'm looking for a cow to slaughter for my wedding, or you have a funeral? Do you have a schedule? What is it like in your enterprise when it comes to selling and marketing of your cattle?
Well, like I said, these are mostly these animals are for breeding. They are registered with the National Health, they are registered with the Breeding Society. So usually our customers are not those who come here for slaughter.
Okay.
They are those who come here to buy breeding animals. Okay. Yes, bulls for breeding, bulls for breeding to service their females, and heifers or cows to grow their heads. Okay. Yes, that's all about breeding. Yes, we have got some that we have some males that are castrated that we take to abattoir for slaughter, but the major head that we have here is for breeding.
When it comes to selling, when you are marketing or sending your cattle to the auction, I can answer that in part. I know I'm going to saburi. You really like it. But when you are selling or marketing or curling, given that you have a limited carrying capacity, when you are curling, do you look at weight, age, fertility, size?
Okay. When we are preparing for the market, usually our market for pedigree animals is not like an open market. It's specifically usually for breeders. So when a breeder comes here, he knows what he's looking for.
Exactly.
Yes. So if he's looking for a bull, there are so many bulls to choose from that you spoke about here.
Okay.
Then you take him to the head, then again choose, because the choices differs depending on an individual. Someone likes big framed bulls, someone likes medium framed bulls. Like myself, I like a medium framed bulls. I like a medium framed bull. The reason is ease of calving, because if the bull is too big, then you might have calving problems with
the females. It also produces a big framed calf.
Yes, especially on heifers.
Okay.
So if we've got a medium framed bull, it produces small calves, but Boran cattle, even the cows, have got a high growth rate.
Okay.
Yes. So when someone comes here to buy, usually they know what they're looking for. But along the way, maybe next year, we'll take our animals to the auction.
Okay.
But when we're taking our animals to the auction, obviously we'll take our best animals. Even when we sell our best animals. When we want to sell, we always sell our best animals. Those that are not fit for reproduction or for breeding, we just keep them here, we cow them, or we take them to the abattoir.
Okay, finally, as we close this segment, I want us to look at maybe your views, your sentiments, or what you would want our policymakers to understand when it comes to this business, or your desires and wishes where you'd want the government to chip in, or certain departments to chip in, or even the private sector, how you'd want to partner with them so that at the end of the day, your ventures are a success, you are profitable and sustainable as you work in this business.
Okay. Yeah, the first thing that I want to talk about in terms of our stakeholders in this business is that maybe yes, on the side of our feed producers, they should try to produce feed that is a bit cheaper and affordable to farmers. Because the feed is very expensive. Then most farmers cannot afford feed, especially during this year of drought. It's a very challenging year. You definitely need to supplement your cattle, otherwise you lose your cattle. So we would want our producers of feed to produce feed that is affordable and cheaper to us farmers.
Okay.
Yes. On the part of policymakers, yes. What I've witnessed here, it's a bit tragic because people lost a lot of cattle to tick-borne disease, especially the notorious general disease. I saw my neighbors losing a lot of cattle. So maybe if the government can build dips around here,
or revitalize them,
or revitalize the dips that are already existing, that will save the national head.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mderezwa, for taking your time and inviting us to your place. I can see you have a very good work relationship with your staff, and even your cattle, you know them by name. You were actually pointing at them as we were talking. Thank you so much for taking your time and educating the Zimbabwean farmer in terms of Boran production.
Thank you.
There you had it, viewers. Today we were at Infinity Boran Stud, looking at their activities, their strategies they are putting in place to ensure that they are profitable and they're also making a living off of their agricultural venture. From me, your host was Zanai Manyora. I'm also on Instagram. It's at Wazi110, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.